told my fiancé I never wanted kids from day one, then his sister had a baby and he started calling me mama. I told my fiancé I never wanted kids from day one. Then his sister had a baby and he started calling me mama and changed his phone wallpaper to me holding the baby. So I left. I'm 26F and have always known I didn't want kids. From a young age, even when adults asked me how many kids I wanted, my answer was always none. I didn't even know what child-free meant, but I always was. As I got older, I realized what it was. I just didn't feel that unconditional love that's supposed to come with having children. Could I love a child? What if I can't be a mother because I don't know what that kind of love feels like? That's how I've spent my whole life. Then I met my fiancé, 34M, 2 years ago. He was my first everything and I finally experienced romantic love. But when it came to kids, I still knew I couldn't do it. From the beginning, I told him that having kids was off the table. He said he was fine with that because he never really liked kids, so it wasn't a problem for him. 5 months ago, he proposed and I said yes. We moved in together and everything was perfect. We were planning our wedding slowly, with no rush. That was until his sister had a baby 2 months ago. My fiancé instantly fell in love with his nephew and was there every step of the way. He bathed him, changed him, and napped with him. It seemed normal, I guess, so I didn't mind. 3 weeks ago, we went to his sister's house for lunch. My fiancé was mowing her lawn when she asked me to watch the baby for a couple of minutes. I tried to refuse, but she looked so down that I agreed. I thought she would just put him in his stroller or something, but she plopped him into my arms and went upstairs. I panicked. I had never held such a small baby before and I was terrified I might drop him. 5 minutes in, he started crying. At first, it was fine, but then he started screaming at the top of his lungs. How can such a tiny baby be so loud? I was almost in tears myself. I stood up as gently as I could and went outside where my fiancé was. I yelled at him to come grab the baby for me. He came over, took a picture of me holding the baby, and instead of taking him from me, he started giving me tips on how to calm him down. He pushed the baby closer to my chest and said, "He really suits you." I was on the verge of a panic attack, my hands trembling. I was even more scared to drop him. I yelled, "If you don't grab him, I'm putting him on the floor." He got angry, called me a name, and grabbed the baby. I couldn't handle it anymore, so I took an Uber home. He came home around midnight, showered, and went to sleep on the couch. The next morning, he was already gone when I woke up and he didn't come home until 3 a.m. I told him we needed to talk, but he just said, "Tomorrow," and went back to the couch. The next day, when I came home from work, he was waiting for me. We sat down and he apologized for how he reacted, saying he didn't know what got into him. I asked the question I already knew the answer to, "Do you want to have kids now?" He said, "I don't know. I just love him so much." You know me. That's normal, isn't it? I replied, "I guess, but do you really feel that against having kids? You don't even have to get pregnant or give birth. We can adopt." I talked about how scary pregnancy and childbirth were for me, especially because of how hard it was for my mom. She'd almost died giving birth to me due to complications and had to have an emergency hysterectomy. He said, "That's not the only reason, and you know that. You know how I feel about not knowing if I could love a kid unconditionally." He said, "I know, but you learn to love. Right?"